Woodward is ex officio. Nelson,
Here in Waterford, Michigan, and attending virtually due to medical.
okay, thank you. Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Excellent, thank you. Next up, we'll all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. Alrighty. Next up, we'll move on to the approval of the board minutes of November 2nd and November 10th. If there aren't any changes or corrections, do we have a motion to approve the minutes of those meetings? Motion by Commissioner Lubes, support by Commissioner Joliet. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Minutes approved. Next up, we'll move on to item number 5, which is the approval of the agenda. If there aren't any changes or corrections to our agenda, do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Lubes, support by Commissioner Jackson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, agenda approved. Next up, we'll move on to our first public comment. As a reminder, this first public comment is for items related to the agenda. So are there any individuals from the public who would like to address the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee?
Yes.
Please state your name and community in which you reside in.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Catherine Kennedy. I'm from Lake Orion. And I see the first item is a reenactment of the disastrous items that were September 2nd's board meeting. I think we should absolutely undo everything that was done. We did not have a proper notice. We did not have proper documentation. And the fact that they slipped an airport lease in without proper committee approvals to the Customs and Border Patrol, that costs every citizen undefined amounts of money. There's nothing in that lease that's a viable calculate. You can't even calculate how much it would cost us because the provisions of that lease are so broad and undefined. And as a prior financial advisor, I know that the assumptions in any financial calculation are the determining factor. So you can make any story based on financial assumptions. Doesn't mean they're logical or supportable by any sort of math. And this is a very severe problem we're having in our entire country. People don't seem to comprehend math. So we have, again, provisions that this board is simply following the misguided, I don't even know what to call it, direction of our DC leadership to destroy the county, which has actually been very successful without adopting those silly radical policies that do not benefit our citizens. I am absolutely opposed to any type of our taxpayer dollars being used to obliterate the citizens of this community. We should not be using money that is not allowed to be used for illegal aliens for that purpose, to try to create new systems in a socialist environment of our country. This is not acceptable. It's not viable. There's no way you can support Biden going out there, yeah, it's all free. Maybe for him because he doesn't know how to file his taxes or he gets around it, but for all of us, nothing is free. All these wasteful policies, wasteful spending that's all throughout this entire year's budgets are putting our county in extreme inflationary pressure. In addition to the inflationary pressure, we're already being imposed upon us from all the wasteful and illogical policies of our federal government. The fact that we have to now get oil and gas from Russia instead of having our own supply is ludicrous. There have been fewer American activities in this year than ever I've seen in my entire life. I don't even understand how leadership can do so many policies that are the opposite of what they proclaim that they're supposed to be, first of all. So most people don't even take the time to actually read the details. But to sit there and lie to the people so blatantly and so continuously, yeah, sure, it's all free. Free for who? The people at the lowest income level are going to be hurt the very most by these lies. Heating our homes is supposed to be 50% more because of these ridiculous policies. And the fact that this county, instead of standing up and saying, wait a minute, this is going to hurt our economy when you do this. This is going to hurt our jobs in America. Don't you know that we need a whole lot of American private sector jobs to pay for a single government job? The government doesn't create business. The government doesn't create jobs. The government only sustains itself by taking money for us. So anytime any government at any level says, oh, it's paid for, it just means they figured out which fees and which taxes to raise to cover what they want to spend. And my biggest complaint with government at all levels, they think they can spend my money better than I can for my family. And that's wrong 100% of the time. And every single budget that's done at a government level, if the budget is reduced, they're losing power is how they view it. So they don't try to reduce the budgets.
That was the end of your 3 minutes.
So please consider the fact that you're destroying the very success of the people that are at the lowest rungs of this economy deliberately, or perhaps you don't realize the impact. But the impact will be the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to address the committee? Please make your way to the head of the table and state your name and community in which you reside in, please.
I'm Sandra Carlan from Novi, Michigan, and I'd just like to address the length of this document being over 400 pages long. I'd like to ask, because this public comment is kind of a joke, because a public comment just means that you have to sit there and look interested for a couple minutes until the buzzer rings, and then you can dismiss us and our concerns. Who in this committee read this document in its entirety? Please raise your hand. I don't see any hands raised. Let the record show that none of the committee members have read the document that they're planning to vote on. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee this morning? All righty. Seeing none, I will close public comment. Next up, we'll move on to the regular agenda. Our first item, other action, reenactment of decisions made at the September 2nd, 2021 full board meeting as set forth in the official minutes. Do we have a motion? Motion by Chairman Woodward, support by Commissioner Joliet. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Oh. Chairman?
Oh, you want me to speak to the motion?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's, pretty self-explanatory in the packet. This resolution brought forth with the recommendation of Corp Counsel. The ultimate goal here is to ensure accountable and stable government here in Oakland County. Decisions that were made at a board meeting were proper at 9/2/2021 due to some civil action out of a burden of caution and to ensure that the decisions that were made stand, and the law provides a mechanism to just reaffirm the actions that were taken as reflected in the minutes that were published, and this is just an action just to go on the record to reaffirm the decisions that were made on that day.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioner Kolkendorfer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was looking at the packet last night and trying to figure this out. It's a little bit of a mess. So I just recently learned that the Board of Commissioners was recently sued in the Circuit Court for alleged violations of the Open Meetings Act. I mean, that's the sort of the genesis of this. And it's a mess, this reenactment, because one of the issues, we're trying to reenact every decision that happened at the September 2nd meeting. Well, one of the things that happened was I had introduced a resolution addressing the masks. And in that meeting, that was referred to this committee, to LAGO. It was later referred to, it was the Public Health and Safety Committee, and then it was referred to pandemic. But one of the things that happened in this meeting was referred to LAGO. So if we're reenacting all of those decisions, what happens to that referral? I was trying to wrap my brain around this tonight, and it's a little bit of a mess. What I'd like to do, Madam Chair, is just briefly, I'd like to introduce an amendment that would just clarify this, that the resolution is introduced to LAGO. It's not going to speak to the substance of the mask resolution at all, not good, not bad. The resolution's referred to LAGO. If LAGO doesn't have jurisdiction for any reason, it would go to the Public Health and Safety Committee, and it stays in one of those two committees until there's a majority vote. And so I'd like to move to introduce a resolution that I have written up here, Madam Chair.
Okay, so motion by Commissioner Kolkendorfer. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Joliet.
Sorry, Lynn can do it. And I'm sorry, Madam Chair, I'm not able to obviously hand you a copy of the resolution, but I'm happy to read it into the record for you.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
This is the language of the amendment. The resolution entitled Request to the Oakland County Health Division to permit school districts to determine mask requirements introduced at the Board of Commissioners meeting on September 2nd, 2021 will be referred to the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee. If it is determined that jurisdiction does not exist, the resolution will be referred to the Public Health and Safety Committee. In either instance, the resolution will exclusively remain in the respective committee until a majority vote.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner Kolkendorfer. Commissioners, Chairman Woodward.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I believe we do have Corporation Counsel on here. I guess I want to clarify what this resolution does. This resolution just affirms the activities that happened on and is reaffirming all the actions on September 2nd. All the actions that happened in subsequent meetings also did happen. So I don't believe that this amendment's necessary because the subsequent actions that did occur did follow those events. And so we are, the actions that were taken on September 2nd were proper. We are just reaffirming that. This, in effect, tries to go back and change what happened on September 2nd. And I think runs at a crux of changing the events that actually occurred on that day, where we need to kind of stick to affirming, just reaffirming the actions that happened as they happened.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioner Kolkendorfer.
And just to respond to that, I fully appreciate that comment. I think the lawyers are going to have a field day with this because you could argue it either way. We're in the middle of pending litigation. They're going to read all the minutes of what's happening here. I'd like to stick as close as we can to exactly what happened there and to provide clarity. I appreciate your comment. I just think litigators find ways to argue about things. That's what they do. I just want to make the record as clear as possible. That's all.
Excellent. Thank you. Is there any other further discussion on the amendment? Commissioner Loops.
Okay, so I'm looking for clarification. In the minutes of the September 2nd meeting, the resolution was sent to the Legislative Committee.
Correct.
So this is an amendment to the minutes of the September 2nd meeting to send it to the Legislative and/or Public Health Committee?
This is an amendment to the resolution that's before the board right now that provides clarification on one of the items that are in the minutes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Chairman Woodward?
Yeah, and just to respond to Commissioner Lube's comments, the minutes as adopted lay out exactly the course of action that did occur, and I recommend us voting against anything that tries to change that or modify that, because let the minutes stand as they are, so that that this resolution remains clean, affirming all the decisions that were made on that day. And again, the stuff that happened after September 2nd, those actions also, stay in order of how they actually occurred. So I'm going to be voting no on this amendment.
Thank you, Chairman. I too am not in support of changing any of the decisions made on the September 2nd board meeting as well. Commissioner Loops.
To keep it clean, that seems to be the way to go. Regarding the amendment itself, I don't know whether this is the time for the discussion or not, or is there a meeting with the pandemic committee scheduled to address this?
I think there's a meeting trying to find a date for the pandemic committee meeting that staff is working on.
Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you. And that's why I just want to state that I'm not going to be in support of this amendment as well, because it does change actions that are in process at this time. So, but I'll not be able to support this.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Kolkendorfer.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, one of the concerns here is I haven't seen any indications that it is in process in the pandemic committee. There have been no official reports whatsoever or willingness of the chair there to pick it up. I don't want to get into a side conversation about it, but that's one of the concerns. There's no indication that's in process.
Thank you, Commissioner Kolkendorfer. Is your hand raised, Commissioner Lubes?
No.
No. Okay. Commissioners, any further discussion on this amendment? Seeing none, roll call / prompt the vote on the amendment.
Okay, Kokendorfer,
Yes.
Jackson,
No.
Loops,
No.
Joliet,
Yes.
Woodward,
No.
Nelson,
No.
Madam Chair, you have 2 yeas, 4 nays. Motion failed.
Motion fails. Let's go back to the initial item. Is there any further discussion on item A? Commissioner Joliet.
Commissioner Woodward, I appreciate your explanation of this, but I really don't understand the merit of us just saying we did everything right. It's on record. It was on record as of September 2nd. It's on video. This whole thing, I think, just needs a little bit more review. So for that reason, I'm not going to be able to support it at this time.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chairman Woodward?
Yeah, again, I think, on my notes here, I had it written down. I don't know if I said it, that this resolution is being brought forth in consultation with Corporation Counsel, at their recommendation, because the law provides this mechanism as a step to ensure, again, accountable and stable government on all those decisions that are made, because I agree with you. And so, in consultation with our attorneys, no harm, no loss, and just reaffirms what is already on video in the minutes, and a lot of the decisions that have been already locked into place, and including like the appointment of our corporation counsel at this meeting at the same time. So I think that's the reason why it's before it, but I understand what you're saying.
Thank you, Chairman. Is there any other further discussion on item A? Seeing none, roll call / prompt the vote on item A of our regular agenda, please.
Jackson,
Yes.
Luce,
Yes.
Joliet,
No.
Woodward,
Yes.
Oakenderfer,
No.
Nelson. Nelson is a yes. Oakenderfer is a no. Madam Chair, you have 4 yeas and 2 nays. Motion carried.
I'm sorry, Pam, can you say that again? I cannot hear you.
Motion passed, 4 yeas, 2 nays.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next up, we'll move on to our second agenda item, which is appointment, Director of Facilities Management Department. Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Lubes, support by Commissioner Jackson, and I believe we've got April with us this morning. So good morning, April.
Good morning. How are you all? I just want to, good. I'm excited to be here today for something other than union negotiation. So I am pleased to present Ed Joss as our next Director of Facilities. He's been with the county for 22 years. He's worked his way up and met multiple positions. He is now, before this appointment, manager of the engineering division. And we are just really pleased to be able to offer him and ask and seek your approval for his appointment as the Director of Facilities.
Excellent. Thank you, April. Commissioners, any discussion on this item? Chairman Woodward.
Yeah, I think it's a great pick, April. Congratulations. I mean, I think at a future time committee, because I think this is, I mean, would also, is it economic development or this one? I know as part of our annual process, I mean, we're going through an internal review of the capital improvement program for all county operations and everything. So looking forward to, I mean, I know that he's going to jump in right, I mean, as he always has been, to work on those issues. But I mean, all efforts that were taking place to not only ensure sustainable maintenance and redevelopment of these properties, but what the long-term plan is. So looking forward to hearing from that, and congratulations again.
Excellent. Thank you. Commissioner Loops.
Is there a time we're able to meet Mr. Joss in the next agenda appointee item? Would they come to the board meeting?
We can have him, yeah. I kind of thought he would be at this one, so I might have didn't invite him, but yes, he can be at the board meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other further discussion? Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you. I just want to say, I think it's a great decision that he'll be fulfilling this role with his experience and just sitting on the economic development committees in the past. His receptiveness to looking at the process and helping explain how the capital improvement program fits into our budget and breaking down certain things that were necessary to really understand and help involve ourselves in the process of even contracting for certain projects. So I'm excited and happy that he was able to receive this position. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. I also, too, just want to echo my fellow commissioners. Congratulations, and what an amazing opportunity to still have Ed with us after 22 years of working here in Oakland County. So very exciting. Commissioners, any other further discussion? Seeing none, roll call / prompt the vote for the appointment of the Director of Facilities Management Department.
Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays. Motion carried.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next up, thank you, April. Next up, we'll move on to item C, which is the appointment Director of Department of Public Communications. Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Lubes, support by Commissioner Jackson. And I believe we've got Deputy Chambers with us this morning. So good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. And I also have the individual that I'm going to introduce to you on the meeting with me as well. So I am very pleased to be before you this morning. As you know, a few months ago, you created the new Department of Public Communications, which brings under one unit all of our media relations, all of our marketing, all of our social media, all of our creative operations with our new community engagement team. So we are really excited to kind of have this new department and to really accelerate the efforts that we're making to serve the residents of Oakland County. And so we had undertaken a broad search for the new leader of the Department of Public Communications, and very pleased to present to you today Charlotte Fisher, who we believe has not only the experience and the technical expertise to really lead a talented group of employees who are already doing a lot of this work, but also the strategic vision and the planning and the management that will really be required, because what we hope to do is ensure whether community engagement's being done by health or veterans or housing or our liaisons that we have on this team, that we're all coordinated and really providing the best service to Oakland County residents. And that when we think about marketing campaigns, whether it's health or the animal shelter or housing or economic development, that we are also all coordinated. So we don't have silos of people throughout the county doing communications or community engagement, that we're all kind of working together and increasing these efforts to really be present for our residents. So Charlotte has a unique combination of private sector and government experience. She has served in communication capacities at Ford, at General Motors, at consulting firms, and most recently at the Detroit Employment Growth Corporation. Also, for those of you who have a dog in all of these fights, she has a degree from the University of Michigan and a degree from Michigan State. So she straddles both of those fine institutions, and we're confident that she will do an outstanding job. This was a process where we worked with the firm to do the recruitment, so there were dozens and dozens of applicants. We had a number of rounds of interviews. The staff was able to meet with the candidates towards the end of the process, and and Charlotte just rose above all of the other applicants, and we think that she'll be a terrific leader, really, for this new department, which you know, and help us to establish the vision for this department that you had as a board and that we have, that County Executive Coulter has. So I would welcome, if it's okay, Chairwoman Nelson, if you would like, Charlotte can also say a few words.
Sure. Welcome, Charlotte. Oh, you are on mute. Oh, Charlotte, if you could unmute yourself. There we go.
Oh.
No, we are still. Charlotte, if you could just hang tight one moment. We're having some audio issues. We see that you're off mute, but we are still unable to hear you. Is there anyone from staff who could help troubleshoot?
Commissioner Nelson, this is Megan. She may need to log off and then log back on again in order for it to re-up.
Okay. Charlotte, if you could log off and then log back in. I appreciate everyone's patience. All right. Good morning, Charlotte. Can you hear us? Yeah, we are still unable, unfortunately, Charlotte, we are still unable to hear your audio.
Just might want to check your mic settings.
Yeah. There's also a dial-in.
I was going to say.
There's a dial-in feature under the microphone, whatever, the audio section.
Sure. Charlotte, one of the other options, if you can hear me still, is that instead of logging on virtually, there is a dial-in number. It may be worthwhile to log off virtually and dial in that phone number.
This is sad for our communication director.
Right.
Welcome to Oakland County.
This is the technical.
Sometimes when you're on Zoom, it changes your settings.
No, we don't need extra directors at all. Central Public Communications.
All right, Commissioner, she's going to try to dial in the phone number here. Let's just give it another shot.
Thank you.
Hello.
Perfect. And then mute. Hey, Charlotte needs to mute her computer. There, so we don't get the feedback. Oh, Kristen, you're muted now. There.
Good morning, Charlotte.
Good morning.
Oh, excellent. We can hear you. Charlotte, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, good morning. This is a high honor for me to be here. I am happy to tell you I am not in charge of your IT department, nor will I ever try to be based on that horrific experience. I'll just start by saying that Hillary's words were very kind, and you've all been very patient. I've been an Oakland County resident for 30 plus years, and I've been in communications for 30 plus years. So this is a really great opportunity to bring together my passion for my career, plus my family's enjoyment of living, playing, and now working in the community that I love so much. The job was promoted as really elevating and expecting communications to have a true impact on the organization, both in terms of delivering to stakeholders as well as helping the organization reach its goals. As Hillary said, I'm a systems-oriented comms person with a focus on, measurement, leveraging disparate communications channels, and really trying to bring together all the pieces of the organization so you can truly get a 1 + 1 = 5. Very committed to the process. Can't wait to get started, and I'm truly blessed to be able to start the new year with your blessing to try and work with what great systems you already have, and continue to bring those forward in a perhaps a bit more orchestrated and cohesive way.
Excellent. Thank you, Charlotte. Your extensive experience it is admirable, and I look forward to working alongside of you. Commissioners. Chairman Woodward.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is really, I think, exciting. I think the vision of this department to really coordinate communication across county departments to make sure we're delivering the same information, the correct information. One of the things that we hear often from the public is the lack of awareness of services, programs, and things that are around there. And so, Charlotte, we're really excited to pull this team together with the community engagement team that's already in place. We look forward to, I can speak on behalf of the board, working with you to be, I guess you can say, vessels to help making sure that communication's reaching all across Oakland County reliably, regularly, and I think it will serve the people of Oakland County well. So congratulations and welcome aboard.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioners, is there any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, roll call please on the appointment of the Director of the Department of Public Communications.
Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
6 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. Congratulations, Charlotte, and we look forward to working alongside of you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your endorsement.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Next up, we'll move on to item number 4 of our regular agenda, Grant Application 2022 Survey and Re-Monumentation Grant Application with the State of Michigan for maintenance of re-monumented corners. Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Lewis, support by Commissioner Joliet. And it looks like, I believe we've got Lisa Brown with us this morning.
Hi there, Madam Chair. This is Fred Miller from the Clerk's Office. Commissioners, good to see you.
Well, good morning, Fred.
Good morning. We bring you greetings on behalf of Clerk Register Brown, and with strict instructions to be brief, which is a personal challenge for me, but to be thorough as well, which is I'm proud to introduce Ron Crank, who's a longtime county employee and has given 29 years, 27. 56 years of service to the people of Oakland County. But briefly, the Re-Monumentation grant application that's before you is an annual thing. It won't be any surprise to experienced commissioners. This is the program set up by the state to go through and survey all the different corners of the Oakland County throughout the state of Michigan. This is funded through the state. The $30 recording fee, a portion of that, of every document that's recorded with the Register of Deeds, part goes into the Re-Monumentation Fund, and then applications are put in every year by all the counties across the state of Michigan to perform a certain amount of surveying work for the year. We're really proud to say that we have completed the surveying of Oakland County, and in 2022 we will be moving into our maintenance phase to go back and any corners that have been put in that have been destroyed or misplaced or need to be updated, we start that process. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Ron for any other details, and of course look forward to your questions.
Fred, you covered it pretty well. As you know, Dave's been around since the beginning. All the section corners.
As long as you.
All the section corners that were placed in Oakland County back in the early 1800s have been visited and placed in their proper location through, historic study of the such surveys. Since we're at the point now that we call that part of the program complete, the state requires us to enter into a maintenance program. That's part of the program where the vendor surveys will go out to each township, starting from like the townships that were done at first, revisit all those corners and make sure that they have not been disturbed or they're still in place too. As you'll notice, the grant's going to be down a little bit, but we're not going to be going to the placement or monumentation of corners anymore. So the cost of visiting these corners and replace them would be a lot less monies. And that's kind of basically it in a nutshell. Basically, the Remind program's done. We're just now babysitting it.
So thanks for your consideration, committee and Madam Chair, and we're happy to answer any questions.
You're muted, Madam Chair. Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk and Mr. Craig. Commissioners, is there any further discussion on this item? I have a different camera view, so I'm assuming that no commissioners have their hand raised. Oh, there we go. Any further discussion on this item?
Madam Clerk, real
Chairman?
quick. Yes. And since this is, I know that, Ron's preparing to end his long, lengthy career in Oakland County, and so I know you've led this project. It's been fascinating. I believe Oakland County, at least in terms of our size and proportionality, the first to fully complete and implement this. And it just really is a yeoman's task and such a huge resource. It lends itself to all the plotting that all of our local communities use, all our surveying operations, our public health uses, and everything. And so it is an awesome project, and you should be very proud of this. My question is: are the maintenance mostly in our kind of outer edge townships, or are we? Is this 5% or whatever? Is it across all communities? So even
all communities.
All communities. Okay. Yeah, so. Yeah. And if a condo development pops in, these are only platted parcels, right? So if a condo development, we don't go through there and plat that. These are just plotted land parcels across the county, right?
Great.
Got it. Great. Well, great job.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioners, any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call / prompt the vote, please, on item number D.
Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
6 yeas, 0 nays. Motion carries.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk and Mr. Crane. Next up, we'll move on to item number E of the regular agenda. Grant acceptance, grant award with United States Department of Interior Fish and Wildlife Service Fish Passage Program for Milpan dam removal and restoration. Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Lubes, support by Commissioner Joliet. I believe we have Melissa here again to speak on this item that we've spoken on several times in the past. So welcome again, Melissa.
Thank you. Good morning. I know this is nothing new to this committee, but it is another grant agreement for that Milpan Dam removal project. This one is $197,363 from the Fish and Wildlife Services National Fish Passage Program. So I think after this one, there'll be one more grant agreement coming your way, and then we'll kind of have this all buttoned up because we're looking forward to launching this project as soon as we can in the spring. We're going out to bid shortly for the construction, so we're very excited to get rolling.
Excellent. Thank you, Melissa. Commissioners, any further discussion on this item? All righty, seeing none, roll call, prompt the vote, please.
Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
6 yeas, 0 nays. Motion carries. Thank you so much, Melissa. We look forward to the next time we see you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we'll move on to item number F, which is collective bargaining agreement fiscal year 2022 to 2024 supplemental collective bargaining agreement for non-supervisory employees represented by the UAW Local 889 of the Emergency Management and Homeland Security Department. Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Lubes, support by Commissioner Woodward. And I believe we've got April here with us this morning to speak on behalf of this collective bargaining agreement. April or Julie Fisher here with us?
I'm here. Hang on. Sorry, I was having a difficulty.
Good morning, April. No problem.
All right. You're never getting rid of me. Got too many union contracts here. Okay. So this one is the supplemental UAW for the Emergency Management and Homeland Security Department. Just for point of clarification, again, they had I just want to always make sure we always know where we're at. Back in December of 20, the UAW had created what's called a master contract, and we have multiple offshoots of those contracts into what we call supplemental agreements. This one is for Homeland Security. Just like we have with the other ones, it was memorializing what was already happening within the department for those employees, boot allowances, clarification on if they have overtime or different shifts or whatnot. All of that is in this as well. So it's, again, just kind of shoring that piece up. I think that's pretty much it. It was just, again, they're following in alignment with the master agreement and just those few pieces as it relates to clarifying their overtime and shift bid and boots. Any questions?
April, I just have a quick question. How many employees does this agreement approximately cover?
This one I think might be 5 full-time. Oh, altogether, like the whole.
Altogether, is it 14?
For the UAW or for this particular supplement?
For this particular supplement.
5 full-time people, 5 full-time employees for just this particular one.
I gotcha. Thank you, April. Commissioners, Commissioner Kolkendorfer?
Thank you, Madam Chair. April, thanks for the background. Appreciate it. Just quickly, the items that we're supplementing, how does this compare to similar collective bargaining agreements that we have at the county? Is there anything unusual here?
No. No, but a lot of it came from those. Like a lot of the times when, like, for instance, IBW had boot allowance, the supervisors would often get the same. So we're just memorializing those things.
Got it. Thank you.
And if there were differences, then the department is going to take that up within their budget.
Right.
I had all of the, all of the managers that are in these supplements are with me in supporting whatever it is that the outcome that we have.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Commissioners, any further discussion or questions on this item? Seeing none, roll call / prompt the vote, please.
Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. 6 yeas, 0 nays. Motion carries. Next up, we'll move on to item number G, which is another collective bargaining agreement, fiscal year 2022 to 2024, supplemental collective bargaining agreement for supervisory and non-supervisory non-supervisory employees represented by the UAW Local 889 of the Central Services Department. Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Lubes, support by Commissioner Jackson. And again, welcome, April.
Thank you. This one is, again, the same. It's a supplemental for Central Services, which is a unique department in the fact that it covers different divisions. This covers the aviation unit, as well as for those employees in the airport, as well as the in the garage and in records and retention. So there's a little bit more here, but again, memorializing a lot of things that we're already doing, addressing and making sure that we memorialize their shift premium, uniform allowance that they had previously, tool allowance, making sure that there was some clarity on their tool allowance for the mechanics. And again, just the ability to how they handle on-call. And again, if they do a 410, what that would look like. So again, in alignment.
Thank you, April. Commissioners, is there any further discussion / questions on this item? Seeing none, roll call / prompt the vote for item G for Central Services.
Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
6 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. Next up, we'll move on to item H, which is our last collective bargaining agreement for fiscal year 2024, supplemental collective bargaining agreement for non-supervisory employees represented by UAW Local 889 of the Facilities Management Department, Facilities Maintenance and Operations Division. Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Lubes, support by Commissioner Jackson. And welcome again, April.
Thank you. Again, this is a supplement for the UAW contract as stated. This is in the more in the administrative side of the F&O division and non-supervisory focus area. Again, same shift premium, making sure that they have the correct uniform and boot allowance. And again, clarifying if they have a 410 schedule and the other benefits as stated.
Excellent. Thank you, April. Commissioners, is there any questions or further discussion on this item? Seeing none, prompt the vote, please, for item number H.
Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
6 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. Thank you so much, April, for being here with us this morning. Commissioners, next up, we'll move on to item number I, which is resolution establishment of an interlocal agreement between Oakland County Board of Commissioners and Oakland County Public Authorities for administrative support services. Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Joliet, support by Commissioner Lubes. And I believe we've got our Chief of Staff, Patty Dips, as our presenter. So good morning, Patty.
Good morning, Chair. Thank you. This item came about a couple of years ago, predating my arrival here, but I've heard about it and I've seen the extensive work that our staff has put in with Corporation Counsel to get this straightened out. This is an interlocal agreement that would exist between our professional staff who provide excellent service to the authorities that exist here in Oakland County, and it's to recoup some of the cost of their time to support those authorities. They generally meet quarterly unless there are, pressing items which require them to meet more. So it basically is recouping some costs. It's not going to be a revenue generator. It's just going to help with our time.
Excellent. Thank you, Patty. Could you briefly just give examples of the administrative support services in which we would provide?
Certainly. It's similar to what Pam is doing for this committee. So it's the professional support, of creating notices, agendas, attending meetings, minutes, and, research and providing that type of professional support.
Thank you. Commissioners, is there any further questions, discussion on this item? I don't have the screen that shows commissioners, so if there is.
Yes, Madam Chair, I've got a quick question. Thank you.
Yeah, go
Okay,
right
great,
ahead,
thanks.
Commissioner.
Well, thanks, Patty. I was just going to ask that question about a concrete example, so that's helpful. Just kind of piggybacking on that. So you're talking about clerical services that the county provides to the municipalities?
No.
Or no?
No, sir. This is to the authorities. So, for example, the Art Institute Authority, the OCPTA, Public Transit Authority, the Zoological Authority. So it is the clerical administrative committee type support.
Got it. Understood. Thank you. How are we handling that today?
It's provided, but the costs are not recouped. And so it was brought up a couple of years ago by former Commissioner Tubb that, this is something that should be taking place. The authorities are aware that this is in process. And so the goal is to start at the beginning of the year.
Is there any estimate on sort of the annual volume? I understand this isn't going to generate revenue, but what sort of dollars are we talking about?
About $150 a quarter
Per authority.
per authority.
Okay. Got it. All right, great. Thank you. That was helpful. Thank you very much.
Excellent, thank you. Commissioners, any further questions or discussion on this item? Seeing none, roll call / prompt the vote for item I.
Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
6 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. Thank you, Chief Dibb. Next up, we'll move on to item J, which is resolution opposing to Senate Bills 597, 598, which would amend the Social Welfare Act and the Mental Health Code. Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Jackson, support by Commissioner Lubes. And I believe Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, I want to speak to this resolution this morning, Chair. This resolution is in opposition to these Senate bills 578 and 598, which really furthers privatization of our public mental health care services. Opposition to this bill would prevent the $3.6 billion fund to be given to private insurers versus the Community Mental Health Services Association, who we are under currently. Our Community Mental Health Board, who I sit on along with Commissioner Mike Spiz, has really expressed to us how it would dramatically change the public health system by creating these privatized solutions, which would more so be focused on the bottom line and dollars versus family need and grassroots communication and activities. So as we know, thousands of Michigan residents depend upon this system, and the consequences of this would really be detrimental to their level of service and care. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for leading this initiative, Commissioner. As we all know, thousands of families across Michigan depend on the public health system for affordable and accessible care, and I appreciate you leading this initiative because it is so important.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, is there any further questions, comments, discussion on this resolution? Commissioner Kokendorfer?
It is. Thank you. First, Commissioner Jackson, thank you very much for you and the others who brought this to our attention. I think there's a place for privatization in a lot of different places, but I think there are a lot of unintended consequences with these bills, and so I'll be supporting it, and I think it could be a real mess for residents, so thank you.
Thank you. If there isn't any further discussion, please prompt the vote.
Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
6 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. Next up, we'll move on to item K, which is appointment citizen member of Retirement and Deferred Compensation Board. Do we have a motion? A motion by Commissioner Joliet, support by Commissioner Lewis. And I believe this morning we've got our chairman, Jim Van Leuven, with us this morning. So good morning, Jim.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair. I've got a few opening comments, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jim Van Leuven. I'm an Oakland County retiree. I had almost 36 years of service. I retired as the Chief Deputy Treasurer under Andy Meisner. Immediately prior to that, I was the Chief Deputy Clerk Register under Ruth Johnson. And prior to that, I was Administrative Director for the Board of Commissioners. And I've had the privilege to serve on the Retirement Board for over 30 years. I've been Chair of the Board since 2006. And before you this morning is our recommendation for Mr. Michael Lasley to be the citizen member of the Retirement Board. The Retirement Board has 9 members, 4 elected officials. The elected officials are the Chairperson of the Board of Commissioners, the Chairperson of the Finance Committee, the County Executive, and the County Treasurer. These 4 elected officials may designate someone to serve in their place. They're the only 4 members that can do that, but all it takes is a letter, and they can designate someone. The County Executive's current designee is Kyle Jen. There are 3 employee members elected by the employees, 1 retiree member, that's me, who's elected by the retirees, and 1 citizen member. The citizen member cannot be a retiree or a beneficiary. They cannot be receiving any retirement benefits from the system, but they must be a registered voter in Oakland County, and that's who they represent. They represent the Oakland County voters. All 9 members are fiduciaries, and we are responsible for more than $3.5 billion in retirement money. As explained by our attorney at our last meeting, we have a fiduciary responsibility to follow our process and fill the vacant citizen member position. Over the last 12 years, the Retirement Board has recommended 3 members for confirmation by the Board of Commissioners. Our process this year was to advertise. It was advertised on the Board of Commissioners website. I should back up for a second. And our retirement staff worked with board staff, and the county executive staff was involved. But it was advertised on the Board of Commissioners website, the Board of Commissioners Facebook, and the OGov Facebook. So in 3 areas for a 30-day period. We take applications, we interview, and we make a recommendation. We typically interview everyone who applied. The interviews are done by the 4-person standing investment subcommittee. The members of the subcommittee are myself, Robert Wittenberg, Joe Rozelle, and Jeff Phelps. However, when I became chair, I opened up the invitation to all of the retirement trustees to attend the Retirement Board Investment Subcommittee meetings, so that we advertise so that we're in compliance with the Open Meeting Act. So at this last round, there were the 4 members of the Investment Subcommittee, in addition to Commissioner Woodward and Commissioner Markham, attended the interviews. At the subcommittee, the vote was unanimous for Mr. Lasley. Commissioner Markham even went on to say that she thought he was the best candidate. The vote at the Retirement Board was 6-2 in favor of recommending Mr. Lasley for confirmation. And those are all my comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you, Jim, for explaining the process throughout interviewing all the way through the Retirement Board making the vote. So, commissioners, do you have any questions, comments, discussion? Chairman Woodward.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to postpone action on this and to request the Oakland County Pension Board conduct a further search of candidates to ensure a broader pool of diverse qualified applicants.
Chairman, 1 moment. So, Chairman makes a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Jackson. Now,
Yeah.
let's open on the table.
Yeah, and let me speak to this a little bit. And this has been a conversation, going back to October. And nothing, I mean, necessarily against this particular applicant. I mean, as a board, as a county administration that has leaned in the importance of diversity on all our governing boards and authorities as a top priority. The fact that looking back, we could have done better. Having a conversation. What are the qualifications, experience, skills to help round out the other members of the board? Could have had that and use that as a vehicle to encourage other people to apply. I don't believe it was on the Board of Commissioners website. I think it was on the county executives page on the website. But at the end of the day, I had a small pool of candidates that did apply. I think we can do better. I think it's important to. Right now we're losing someone who served on the board for quite some time. Leaving the 9-member board with only one woman, no people of color, and I firmly do believe diversity is important, and I think we should make every our best effort to ensure diverse qualified applicant pools and get this right. And why does diversity matter on these type of governing bodies? Well, it helps with decision making. Evidence proves that diversity helps bring diverse viewpoints, that helps enforce policy decisions and other decisions that are essential. It's important to have people on the board that represent broadly all the plan participants. When this comes down to education and encouraging for people, for employees to participate, education and advice to make sure that it's appropriate and best received by all individuals. This is a pension board that is embarking on a process of trying to establish how we may be able to lean in on environmental, social, and corporate government responsible choices, and establishing a policy to help guide that decision making. All of those things play a role, and as a person who believes that we should make every effort to ensure that all our governing bodies are representative of the broad county, and as Mr. Van Luven talked about, this is the citizen member. This is like the one opportunity for the to kind of put our finger on the scale to help round out the experience perspective of the board, and so taking a little bit more time to go back and seek a broader pool of applicants, of diverse and qualified applicants, I think is an appropriate thing to do.
Thank you, Chairman, for your comments. So I do have a question for you. Are you rejecting the candidate based on their lack of qualifications?
No.
So what is the basis of your rejection of this candidate?
I guess I should say, I'd be very clear that the importance of a broad applicant pool, I think that Mr. Lansley should be, considered in that pool. I think, from a county-wide perspective, we had a small number of applicants, and if we can, a broad, diverse applicant pool, and to reevaluate and pull from there will lend to a better decision for everyone.
Thank you. I will be supporting the recommendation of the retirement board. I think, as we all heard, there was an open application process. There was a diverse candidate pool, and to honor, in all fairness, of the retirement board's process and procedures, I am going to support the recommendation of the pension board. Commissioners, is there any further questions? We have Commissioner Kokendorfer followed by Commissioner Joliet.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree that it is critical to work to obtain a diverse applicant pool. That's what makes this county stronger. Frankly, we've struggled with that in the past. I think we're doing better. I think there's more work to do, and I wholly support that. That being said, we've got a process that was followed, and we worked to get a diverse applicant pool. In fact, we did have some diversity in that applicant pool. And after following all that process, we have someone who received very, very strong support from the board that knows the qualifications best. After we've gone through that whole process, we now have an applicant, and we have a resume that's in front of me here, an application that says all qualified applicants receive consideration for appointment without regard to race, color, religion, sex, age, national origin, height, weight, familial, marital, handicap, or veteran status. It makes me very, very nervous after following this process, now rejecting somebody on some of those qualifications that we have in here. If we want to revisit how can we do a better job in the future, I am all for that. Let's have that conversation. But now that we followed this process, on many, many levels, it's wrong to reject this applicant, in my view.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Joliet.
Thank you. I also echo Commissioner Kokendorfer's thoughts. And being relatively new to appointing people to boards, going through the interview process with Lago for the Community Health Network, I'm assuming that everybody else that sits on this board went through a similar application and interview process and received approval. So I will be supporting this because we trust in those members that we selected to follow process. And it sounds like process was followed.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there any further discussion regarding Chairman Woodward's motion for postponement? Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you. I supported Commissioner Woodward on this because we know that no matter what processes may be in place, that certain activities are baked within our systems here. And the fact that we have a compensation board that represents all of our employees, made up of how many people again? And we have one woman and no people of color. I think even though there is a process, and even though the process may have been followed, but at the same time, there's racism baked in our processes and systems that we have to address. This is the time that we have to really, really look at the way things are. And so that's why I'm going to be supporting, and that is why I seconded this motion. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Is there any further discussion on the postponement? Seeing none, roll call, please, on the postponement of the Citizen Member Retirement Deferred Compensation Board appointment.
On the postponement, Lubes?
Yes.
Joliet?
No.
Woodward?
Yes.
Kokendorfer?
No.
Jackson?
Yes.
Nelson?
No.
Madam Chair, you have 3 nays, or 3 yeas and 3 nays.
3 yeas, 3 nays, motion fails. Back to the initial motion. Commissioners,
Chairman, could I make one more comment, please?
Absolutely, Chairman.
Thank you. As I stated, this is the 3rd time the Retirement Board has brought a name to the Board of Commissioners for confirmation. First time the process, the best candidate was a gentleman named D'Arcy Gonzalez, an Hispanic male. The second time the process yielded Lori Siskin, a female. This time the process yielded Mike Lasley. We've used the same process. We've had 3 different results. Just think that's important for everyone to keep in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, if there isn't any further discussion on item K, roll call, please.
Joliet?
Yes.
Woodward?
No.
Kokendorfer?
Yes.
Jackson?
No.
Lubes?
No.
Nelson?
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 3 yeas and 3 nays.
3 yeas, 3 nays, motion fails. Can I get point of clarification in regards to this item, obviously having a tie, the motion fails? What happens procedurally next?
It does not go any further.
It does not go any further.
Correct.
Okay.
We have to start over as far as presenting it to the committee again.
Yep.
Thank you. Pam, Chairman, are you raising your hand?
Yeah,
Chairman Woodward, followed by Commissioner Kokendorfer.
Yeah, and I mean, related to that process, when the pension board talked about this, we said, should that event occur, open it to a restart a process that I think we can ensure that there's a qualified, diverse applicant pool.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioner Kokendorfer.
Yeah, just a question, if anybody knows, is there any timing constraints on when we fill the vacancy or no? I don't know.
If I may, Madam Chair, I mean, the term starts next in January.
So obviously,
I believe the first pension board meeting is actually, Mr. Van Leuven probably knows it, I think it's like the 15th, 16th, 17th of January. So that would be the first meeting. I'm very positive that we can get resolution by then.
Okay. Commissioner Kokendorfer.
I hope so. I'm concerned about the holidays. It always slows down processes. Does anybody know what happens if we don't fill it? But by that date, by January 1st or by mid-January?
Jim?
If I may, if you don't fill it, then there's no one representing the voters.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Alrighty, thank you for joining us this morning, Jim.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioners, next up, we'll move on to item L, other actions, vacancies, Oakland Community Health Network and Oakland County Parks and Recreation Commission. Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Lubes, support by Commissioner Jackson. Alrighty, commissioners, as we all know, LAGO takes on the appointments of several different boards, and there are a few current board vacancies. There are 2 vacancies on the OCHN board. I know that we've talked in previous committees in regards to, we did have a resignation by Eric Lindemeyer, who fulfilled the general public position to the OCHN board, and this partial term does need to be filled. And the term of this position has an end date of 3/31/2023. Additionally, there was another resignation letter received from Sarah Guadalupe stating that she had an anticipation resignation date of 12/31/2021. Ms. Guadalupe currently fulfills the working in the mental health services position on the OCHN board, and this also is a partial term, which will need to be filled with, as of 11/23/2021, Ms. Guadalupe did provide us with an update on her resignation stating that she would be able to remain with the board through December 31st. However, she did not have a definitive answer at this time regarding permanent plans, and it is looking as though she will have other obligations out of state. And while she did appreciate the patience of her career and living arrangements, it may be in the best to move forward with filling this vacancy. Additionally, aside from those 2 vacant positions on the OCHN board, we do have 1 vacancy on the Oakland County Parks and Recreation Commission. Amanda Herzog resigned on 9/21/2021, and this partial term needs to be filled with the end date of this term being 12/31/2022. So in previous discussions in pursuant of our committee operations, the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee has the discretion to either waive the interview requirements for any of the appointments, or the committee can move forward with posting these vacant positions. So I'd like to open it up for discussion in regards to how the committee would like to proceed. Commissioner Lutz.
I think Sarah Guadalupe has done a marvelous job. I know, dependent upon her circumstances, may result in her living arrangements not in Oakland County. So if any possibility occurs, I would love to see her remain on, but because that's up in the air and we do have positions to fill, I would like to follow our policy with posting the positions and then interviewing people.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Loops. Commissioners, any other inputs in regards to how we would like to move forward? Or are we all in agreement with advertising and posting these two positions? Commissioner Jackson?
Just a quick point of clarification. We have members that represent different sectors. Sarah Guadalupe, she represents WIMH Services. Could you please just detail what that acronym is for?
You know, Commissioner, I don't know what that acronym is. It sounds like maybe that is where she, or Pam?
Yeah, that means she has a job working in the mental health services.
Okay, so that's someone that is employed? Okay, thank you, because Eric Lindemeyer, his was very clear. He's a general public appointee. Okay, thank you.
Correct. Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. These are two different vacancies in two different categories, one being the general public and one being working in mental health services. So it sounds as if, do we have an agreement on moving forward with advertising, posting, and interviewing for these positions?
You want to do a motion?
Pam, do we need a motion?
You can, to make the record clear, you can do a motion.
Okay, so to make the record clear, Commissioner Lubes has made a motion to move forward with advertising and posting and interviewing for these OCHN vacant positions, one being the general public and the other being working in the mental health services field. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Jackson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, so I do believe that Pam, is the information that we had attached on Civic Clerk in regards to the publication posting, are those, is that timeline still accurate and applicable? Post-publication accepting applications with a closing date no later than December 17th?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that meets the deadline for us to have the items and to set up interviews for the first meeting of the year.
Excellent, and so then that would set us up to narrow down candidates on that January 11th, 2022 meeting?
Correct.
Excellent, thank you, Pam. Commissioners, is there any further discussion on this agenda item?
But you also have another piece of this for the Oakland County Parks and Rec Commission. This was kind of a joint item.
Okay, so is this the,
These individuals were previously interviewed but not selected, and we have some terms expiring at the end of this year.
If I may, Madam Chair?
yes, Chairman Woodward.
So the term, Ebony Bagley's term expires 12/31. Yolanda Charles, as a commissioner representative, term expires 12/31. And then there was Amanda Herzog, who had resigned. That's the open position at the moment.
Sure. Can I just get clarification? Isn't that the next item on our agenda, talking about the year-end appointments?
Oh. It's in the attachments of item of the OCHN, OCPRC.
Sure, so then technically that next, I just want to make sure, from my understanding, so we concluded the business under item L. And now we can move to item M, which discusses those year-end appointments in regards to the Oakland County Parks and Rec Commission. Are we all on the same page?
Yeah, I guess it is addressed there as well. I was,
Okay, so just go back to some procedural. Let's move on to item M, which is the appointment year-end report appointments. Do we have a motion? So motion by Chairman Woodward, support by Commissioner Loops. Okay. Chairman, do you want to pick up where you left off at, or do you want me to do it?
Sure. I mean, I guess there's, so I guess is that motion all the ones that are listed here? So Mr. Borngasser
So
for
there's
Area
several
8.
Board of Commission appointments that expire on 12/31/2021. And at this time, as Pam had previously mentioned, each currently serving member has expressed a desire to be reappointed.
Got it.
An updated application for each of the incumbents can be found under Civic Clerk in the attachments,
Got it.
excluding Commissioner Charles. So
Yeah.
that first one,
Right.
go ahead, Chairman.
Yep. So yeah. Okay. So I mean, I'll move that. But I guess with one change that I would include adding. I mean, I don't know if we want to do this as a separate issue about Amanda Herzog. I mean, I know we have the chair of the Parks and Rec Board here as well. Amanda, just for, I mean, well, do we just want to move this and then deal with the vacant position? Right now, there's a vacant position on Parks because Amanda Herzog had resigned. So do you want to just move it? We want to move everything else and then do something separate to that one?
So, Chairman, are you saying that Amanda is back on the commission?
She's not yet. I mean, I think that's like the discussion point. I just don't want to disrupt the motion with everybody else. I mean, if we just move the resolution or the appointments of everyone that was on the list, move that, and then we can talk about the vacant position on Parks.
Okay, so I'm a little unclear at what the motion would be.
All right. So in the attachments for year-end report appointments, we've got Borngasser for Area Agency and Aging. We've got Eric McPherson for Building Authority. And for Parks, we have Ebony Bagley. And I don't know, does that also include Yolanda Charles?
yes.
Okay, I didn't see it right here. Yep.
Interest to
Yep.
continue.
So,
So, Chairman, are you saying the motion would be to reappoint those individuals?
yes,
Correct.
yes, yes.
Okay, so let's move forward with that. So, Chairman makes the motion. Do we have support? Support by Commissioner Lubes. Will this be roll call, Pam? Prompt the vote?
Yeah, I can prompt the vote on it.
Okay, and just as clarification, this is for reappointing Robert to the AAA1B board for the older adult representative. The term of this position is for 2 years, and we'll have a new end date of 12/31/2003. And in addition to Ebony Bagley, who is currently appointed to the Oakland County Parks and Recreation Commission in the citizens position on the commission, and this term is for 3 years, and we'll have a new end date of 12/31/2004. And then Commissioner Yolanda Charles, who is currently serving with the new end date of 12/31/2024. So please prompt the vote.
And also Eric, and also, Madam Chair, I mean, also Eric McPherson for the Building Authority.
Thank you, Chairman. And reappointing Eric McPherson to the Oakland County Building Authority with the term of this position being 3 years, and also having a new end date of 12/31/2024. So roll call / prompt the vote, please. I apologize for any confusion, commissioners.
Commissioner Jackson? Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
6 yeas and 0 nays. Motion carries. So I'm going to throw it back over now, Chairman Woodward.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess now I'd like to, maybe move and recommend the reappointment of Amanda Herzog to fill the seat that she resigned from, and I can speak to it. Circumstances have changed, and she can continue to serve. So,
Chairman?
yes.
I don't mean to interrupt you. I did speak to, have you spoken to the chairman of the Parks and Rec Commission?
Yes, I have. He can sit here too.
If we could get him, because I just want to get some clarification if there is any want for reopening the application for this position or to move forward with a reinstatement reappointment. So Commissioner McGilvery, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Amanda Herzog did a great job on the Parks Board. She's very involved with environmental stuff as well as Michigan Trailways. So it kind of works hand in hand with all of our trail projects and stuff like that. So she would be an ideal candidate. Just so you're aware, everyone is aware that Amanda resigned because she took on a part-time job with the Parks Department. And she has since resigned from that position and accepted another full-time position. So now she's available to serve on this board. So that's why she'd like to be reappointed.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Chairman McGilvery. So there's a motion by Chairman Woodward in regards to reappointing or reinstating Amanda Herzog to the Oakland County Parks and Rec Commission. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Lewis. Can we have a roll call / prompt the vote, please?
Okay, Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
6 yeas, 0 nays. Thank you so much. Motion carries. Commissioners, next up, we'll move on to our last public comment of this committee. So if there's anyone from the public who would like to address the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee, please make your way to the head of the table and state your name and community in which you reside in.
Good morning. My name is Dana Lassenby. I'm the Executive Director and CEO for Oakland Community Health Network, as you also refer to.
Dana.
Good morning. I refer to as Oakland OCHN, and I just wanted to publicly thank this committee and this board for the resolution and the work that went into presenting the resolution. It's going to go a long way with protecting the rights and services for the community's most vulnerable citizens. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dana. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to address the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee? Please make your way to the head of the table, state your name and community in which you reside in.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So I guess it's still morning. It's been a long one. My name's Catherine Kennedy. I'm from Lake Orion. And I actually have a real problem with the way the appointments are being done in this county. Given what we just witnessed in this board meeting, I think it's absolutely imperative that these positions are posted and fairly allowed to be offered to citizens or whomever is necessary for these positions. You can't just say, oh, well, they used to have a part-time, now they're full-time, so we're going to bring them back. That's not a basis for qualification of the position. Just saying. Perhaps she did a good job, but that's not a correct procedure. And this board has an entirely big problem with following actual procedures that follow the law, that follow the ruling. So I appreciate Kristen Nelson. I appreciate the fact that you requested that these things actually get posted rather than assuming that the position of the board would be to simply carry on as they have been. I actually have still a very big problem with the fact that we even have a director of public communications. It offends me that Homeland Security was destroyed. There is no Homeland Security Department anymore, and the $1 million that was pulled from Homeland Security to fund the 15-person staffed Central Public Communications Department, which is exactly how the socialists take over, by the way, for Mr. Coulter, is absolutely offensive. The fact that this is even being tolerated or accepted is absolutely offensive. The fact that the budgets still do not have links to any of the data whatsoever. And I have a real problem with the interlocal agreement that is in this particular meeting for the Board of Commissioners. Why is it that Mr. Woodward has the authority in the interlocal agreement under paragraph 5 for this Board of Commissioners just executed now? Maybe you just didn't read it. He gets to modify the minutes. He gets to modify the agenda. He can add attachments and make all these changes, make amendments. That's not okay. That's not how it should be, and that seems to be what the language in paragraph 5 specifically grants him authority to do. I actually think we need a lot more public citizen participation. This is a critical thing. I don't think the citizens are being heard. I think there's a lot of positive input that the citizens can have that is totally being ignored. The best decisions are not from one side ramming all their ideas down the throats of everyone else, but that seems to be the current sad condition of our country right now. And this board is no exception. Just because there's one person more on the Democratic side versus Republican, it's inexcusable that this is being managed as a partisan political organization, when in reality, the Board of Commissioners, your job is to administer effectively and efficiently for all citizens of this county. Thank you.
You're muted, Commissioner Nelson.
Thank you. If there's other individuals who'd like to address, please make your way to the head of the table, state your name and community in which you reside in.
Good morning. My name is Heather Smiley. I am a Lake Oregon resident, and I need to start getting paid for coming here this often. I'm taking a lot of time off because the stuff is important. I, too, kind of mimic some of the things that Ms. Kennedy said. I do believe that recently a lot of things that were passed without following standard rules and regulations are coming back to the board for official minutes, recommendations, corporate counsel, things of that nature. It makes me question, why wasn't it done right the first time? Why do citizens have to be like, oh, wait, that's not the process. That's not the way things are done. And then you guys are bringing it back to the board for a vote so you can do it properly, so you're kind of covering your own tracks. I also am a little, I guess, misunderstanding, as she mentioned, in regards to the interlocked agreement. I do think too much power is being given to the commissioners, especially when he is elected by the people, but he doesn't seem to listen to the people. It just really shows where your, I guess, loyalties lie. It's more so in a pocketbook than in the people and the voice of the people. And that's really disheartening for a citizen. As well as the Oakland County Health Works and Parks Recreation. If a person is qualified, doesn't matter their color, their creed, their nationality. I'm a Native American. I'm Irish. I've been a citizen since I was born. I don't think we should be checking boxes for social, classifications. We should be checking boxes for who is most qualified for that position. I think when you bring race into things, it really mucks the waters. America, maybe we don't have the greatest history on things, but right now, the people of America are not racist. We see no color in things. It's Americans for Americans. Best qualified person should get the job. I can't wait till you're gone. Have a great day.
Thank you, Heather. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee? Please state your name and community in which you reside in.
I'm Sandra Carlan from Novi, and I had planned on asking about the pandemic committee because I just checked outside and there's no statement of when their next meeting will be held. And I feel that any meeting that is done like a committee or even an ad hoc, that there should be possibility to move to the other auditorium if there's not enough seats in here. Because I think that the way that things are going, we are going to have people taking off work and wanting to come in and make statements and present evidence. And then I got a little sidetracked here with that switch and bait and switch thing, where there was somebody that had gone through the entire process from a diverse group, and we did not get who Commissioner Woodward wanted to win. And so all of a sudden, we have to start all over again. It's just really disgusting to think that the process was followed and a competent person was put in charge, was suggested, and now they cannot be the person who's appointed because they don't fit your pattern, I guess. I would like to suggest, too, that if you're extremely concerned about diversity, that you might want to consider stepping down from your position because you are a white man. And I think it's obnoxious for you to hold that standard for someone else, and you won't step out down and let Janet Jackson take your place, or an Indian, or a Chinese person, or a trans person. I just think that you're hypocritical in your concern for equity. And the other thing I'd like to mention is that natural immunity has been shown to be as robust or better than the vaccine immunity that is waning in the Delta, now again with this new terror of the Omicron. And so I would like this county to address the fact that people are being fired from their jobs who have robust natural immunity. I, for one, am not in that position, but I do have natural immunity from February 2020. Now, they're telling us that they may have to get a whole nother vaccine for this Omicron because it may be escaping and breakthrough and cases and things. First of all, your cases need to be better recorded. And if anyone in Oakland County is still using the unapproved PCR test that was invented by Kerry Mullis, then those cases should just be thrown out, because he said himself that if you run the CT high enough, and no urgent care could tell me or hospital what they were running the CT level at. So that's like saying, where did you cook the cake at? Was it at 175 or 450? You're going to have a different result. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the committee? Once, twice. Alrighty, seeing none, I will close public comment. Seeing that is there any other business to come before the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee this morning? Alrighty, seeing none, without objection, I declare this meeting adjourned at 11:20 a.m. Thank you so much, everyone.